Okay, so thank you for your patience, and we can start. Now we are online. Let's do the homage to the Buddha first, then start. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So now we can start the conversation. So today we're going to continue our reading here. Yep, starting with the luminous.
Oh, we're past the one. Oh, way over there?
Here.
51.
Oh, down there?
Yeah, 51.
Okay.
So can someone read for me, please?
I could read.
Please.
Luminous bhikkhus is this mind, but it is defiled by adventitious defilements. The uninstructed worldling.
Oh, this moment. Yep.
Does not understand this as it really is. Therefore, I say that for the uninstructed worldling, there is no development of the mind. Luminous bhikkhus is this mind, and it is freed from adventitious defilements. The instructed noble disciple understands this as it really is. Therefore, I say that for the instructed noble disciple, there is development of the mind.
Would you like to go with the notes as well?
Where's the notes?
It's 47 and
Okay.
48.
There is no stability of mind, no comprehension of mind. Chitta oh my gosh. Chitta parit nati. Okay, the of the mind called stability of mind. Chitta titi is the practice through which one accurately understand defilement of the mind and liberation from it. The development of insight, vipassana bhavana, which occurs based on the stabilization of the mind by fully concentrating on it on a single object, is what is known as comprehension of the mind. Chittasa paragaha. This occurs with the associated mental factors based on that object. It is through this that one can accurately understand the meaning stated. Do I continue? Oh, yeah.
There are more of them,
okay.
But
the Nikayas often set up a contrast between the uninstructed world, the common person of the world who lacks training in the Buddha's teachings, and the instructed noble disciple who has learned the teaching and understood the training. More broadly, a putujana is anyone who has not yet reached the path of stream entry, sotapatti. Arya Savaka is not necessarily a noble one in the technical sense, but any disciple, monastic, or layperson who has learned the teaching and earnestly takes up the practice.
let's read the number 48 as well.
Okay.
Together.
In this powerful insight, Balavavapassana is discussed by some say tender insight, which I'm not even going to try to say. Here, tender insight refers to the early stage of knowledge of rise and fall, while powerful insight to the mature stage of knowledge of rise and fall, and the high knowledges.
Thank you.
No? Stop there?
That's it, right?
Yeah, that the next it goes on to 49 after that.
Yeah. Okay. So we just started to talk about the luminous of the mind last week. And the actual nature of the mind is pure. Just simply think about when we born to this world as an infant, as a newly born baby. We were unhindered and no pollution at all, no distractions, and having a pure mind. But what Buddha says here, the mind is luminous, mind is pure. That's the actual nature, reality of the mind. But it can be defiled with these foreign objects. Foreign mean out objects, which is not truly us. So there are 5 sensory experiences which can lead for these defilements. And there's another saying here, the uninstructed worldling does not understand this as it really is. So that's the Puthujjana person. Puthujjana means the ordinary person. The person who has no sense, no understanding about the world and about this true nature. And that person does not know the arising of defilements and the passing of them and how they remains with us and what they produce and what's the result, outcome of them. So whatever comes to us, the uninstructed person or unwise person just accept. And what is the acceptance? They react to those experiences. How it happens, whether it is useless or useful, it is beneficial or not, and it could be harmful or harmless, and also that can lead for great harm. They just react to it. They just try to act on it. Why that happens? Because that person accepts that experience as his own matter, own experience, as the life. It's like, this is me, this is I, and this is myself. And with that unwiseness, that person applies them in any case. And that can lead for a great harm, such as killing, stealing, and all sort of misbehavioral things as well. So what is the repercussions of it? Then in that way, that person is dragging himself away from the understanding. So that happens. That's why Buddha emphasized here as the uninstructed person. You can comment on that if you have any concern.
So he seems to be making a difference not only between the noble disciples, but uninstructed and the instructed. Am I wrong?
Say that again, please.
he's making a difference between it's all about the instruction as opposed to anything else. Like it's the uninstructed worldling as opposed to even a layperson that is instructed, right?
Yeah. So this is about, and we should not, mixed up with the practitioners. This is generally talk about the true practitioners. Let's say in the secular world, in the secular lay life, there are many educated and wise people, and they know good and bad, and they know how to sort them out. And generally, they do have that sense, that understanding how to live harmoniously in the world without harming for both parties, myself and others. But when we come to this type of conversation, this is about, again, us, but even though these secular beings, secular people or secular practitioners, like let's say ordinary people, and they know how to handle things with their five senses and with their experiences, though they have no understanding about this, how this samsaric cycle happens. That is the boundary between us. And then handful of people is trying to understand what is beyond this. This wisdom and that wisdom is completely two separate businesses and two separate jobs. Because we might have some wisdom to live in a conventional world, right? Mm-hmm. And then that wisdom supports to go in a spiritual life as well, because all the ordinary people is not practicing a spirituality. And also, we can say they are fools. They are uninstructed. They are uneducated. They are educated. They have wisdom. They know. They are knowledgeable. But the subject could be changed. So in this context, uninstructed means the person who does not know about the samsaric cycle or the existence or this journey. They just live happily, wisely, harmoniously in the society. But they have no, they don't pay attention for their spiritual journey. They just live as a secular practitioners. But when we come to this level, and uninstructed person is about this journey, this practice. Is it more clear?
Yes.
Any comments or any thoughts? You feel free to share your thoughts actually.
Hi, Bunty. Hello, everyone. My apologies. Yeah, good to see everyone. I was on an online conference. It ended late. So I'm sort of picking up little bits here and there as to the topic. What comes to mind around whether someone is instructed or uninstructed, because as Bunty, you point out, someone can actually be living a virtuous, moral life, harmonious, not killing, stealing, etc. But they're not instructed. And so what came to mind is, for me, the distinguishing feature between instructed and uninstructed is whether or not someone is aware of the Noble Eightfold Path and whether they are following it. So I don't know if you could comment on that, or maybe whether I should expand my understanding.
Thank you, Gabriel. Yeah, that's a good point, because in the notes, we found that Putujjana and Arya Savaka. Putujjana means the ordinary beings who are having a secular life. They could be moral, they could be virtuous, and they could be educated, and they could be well planned, well behaved in their life, and maybe they're still dealing with these secular matters, having less opportunity or less interest in practicing the spiritual journey ahead because of their obligations or whatever come with that. And Arya Savaka means the person who pursue or follow or associate the Noble Eightfold Path, as you mentioned, who is in the journey, who is in the actual practice, and who is dedicated towards this spiritual achievements. That's how we have to separate this uninstructed and instructed beings, persons, people in this context. Because the secular world, see the developments of the secular world in just the ordinary world. So there are so many developments and achievements. And in that way, we can say the ordinary world is unwise. They could be unwise in some context, but generally, we all have common sense, we all have understanding, we are educated to live in the planet. But a very few people is only moving forward to understand, to elevate themselves in the practice of Noble Eightfold Path as Arya Savaka.
I'm going to jump in again.
I was going to do, you go ahead, Gabrielle.
Okay. Thanks. So what comes to mind, Bhante, is, and I've reflected on this, in my practice, is how the path and the teachings that the Buddha have laid out are different than the teachings of other spiritual traditions, and there's kind of I don't want to say attitude, an understanding or a belief people have that all spiritual paths lead to the same thing, whatever that is. Nobody ever really defines it, but it seems, again, not just moral people who lead good lives, but moral people who lead good lives, who have a spiritual tradition, a religion, they are still uninstructed.
Yes.
Hey, thanks, Donna.
I get that. Yes, Gabrielle.
Thank you. So any other comments?
Well, I just have one. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they haven't had instruction, that they haven't taken hold of the instruction to practice.
Yes. So in that case, they might deserve to have it, and they should seek for it, and maybe they have to open their ears to listen, and they should show their interest to learning it. And sometimes it just like, actually, there are many beings, many humans. Some humans, they just ignite and seek for it, and they appear and disappear, never comes again. And some of them seeks for it and appears and stay for a while and vanishes and never come back. And some of them seeks for it and they find it and they arrive and they open their ears and listen and start faithfully, and they develop their faithfulness and they have energy, they have effort, they have faithfulness, and once they are attentive and their wisdom is opening and they find the energy and the enthusiasm on it and continue. And sometimes, maybe halfway through, they just drop it. And again, after wandering for a while, they might come back because of that seeding. The seeding is there and they know for some reasons they might be away and they are coming back. But sometimes that the first comers, and they go on and they go on. So that happens. Even that happens at the Buddha's time when Buddha was proclaiming some rules and some disciplines, virtues, and some monks refused to accept. And they just went away, walked away. And later, they understood the mistake and they returned. The only thing that we can do is just wait out of compassion, because there is a right time for everyone. Even though we are rushed to learn, sometimes we couldn't do it. Again, if we want to teach others, maybe there won't be listeners. There won't be disciples. Then we have to back off. And then we have to wait. And sometimes the people who are more deserving it, we don't want to put extra effort to find them. They will find us to get the instructions. Okay, so still we could go with that. And if you have any thoughts, please feel free to share. Okay, so I think it is clear what is uninstructed practitioner and the instructed practitioner. The worldling means all these belongings and all these bondage and all these obligations and what we are currently having with the world. Okay, so we can go to number 53. Can someone read, please?
You want to read, Leslie?
You're muted.
I hope my dog doesn't stop barking. Maybe slightly disruptive, but until then, bhikkhus, if for just the time of a finger snap, a bhikkhu pursues a mind of loving kindness, he is called a bhikkhu who is not devoid of jhana, who acts upon the teaching of the teacher, who responds to his advice, and who does not eat the country's alms food in vain. How much more than those who cultivate it? So do you want the note? Please. Or do you want me?
Okay. Let's do the both, then go to the
okay. Because if just for the snap of a finger, if just for the time of a finger snap, a bhikkhu develops a mind of loving kindness, he is called a bhikkhu who is not devoid of jhana, who acts upon the teaching of the teacher, who responds to his advice, and who does not eat the country's alms food in vain. How much more then those who cultivate it? So, okay, that's number
49.
49.
Yeah. MP says that by pursues a mind of loving kindness, metta citam asavati, the text refers to the mere pervasion of all beings with a wish for their well-being. Thus it seems that here, not devoid of jhana, Rita Jahano, does not necessarily mean that the monk actually attains one of the four jhanas, but that he earnestly engages in meditation. The phrase does not eat the country's alms food in vain means that by practicing meditation, the monk is worthy to receive alms food from lay people. He enables the donors to acquire merit and uses the alms food properly to support the spiritual life.
Right. So it is clear the general idea of here, and it's about practicing loving kindness with the time of a finger snap. That means if we do practice loving kindness, even such a short period, then we will get that outcome. So the outcome for the practitioner, for the meditator, as well as the other disciples, other supporters as well. So that means the practitioner, the meditator, won't be owed to his alms food, for his alms food, which is receiving from the lay community, because he's worthy of receiving it. He's worthy to receive it because of his practice. That means developing, cultivating loving kindness for such a moment is important. Sometimes Buddha says, it is worth to practice loving kindness for a moment and let me die, rather than living hundreds of years with hatred. Because even though we lived for hundreds of years, it is worthless with hatred. But if we live for a moment, and if we can cultivate loving kindness for that short period, that is more than worth. And that brings a value for the practice. And here pursues means truly following it, truly attentive to it, and truly work on it. So jhana means meditation. Jhana means meditation here.
Okay.
So basically, this is about monks or nuns who has dedicated for the journey. But still, this is a good point for lay practitioners, even though you are not supported by the lay community to survive. But in the other hand, as a lay community, you support each other. You support each other. And there's the application then. As spouses, parents, children, and we support each other. And we have sharings. So again, it is applicable for that in that context as well. So you can make it up with your experiences or your thoughts, please.
Bhante, could you go back to the note? Because there was something in that. And well done reading that, Leslie. Oh my gosh, the print is so small.
Mm-hmm.
I can expand it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's much better.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious, what is MP? Do you know, Bhante, is that one of the commentaries?
Yeah, it is one of the commentaries.
By pursuing a mind of loving kindness, the text refers to the mere pervasion of all beings with a wish for their well-being. Thus, it seems that here, not devoid of jhana does not necessarily mean that the monk actually attains one of the four jhanas, but that she earnestly engages in meditation. So, yeah, because and I like the translation of metta as well-being, of friendliness or well-wishing. Just that loving kindness just seems almost to have become kind of meaningless for me because it's so overused. But I'm just curious because I've heard that the metta practice is a way of reaching the end of the path, nibbana, but it takes longer. And yeah, and I'm not sure with samatha vipassana, which are sort of the more traditional ways that meditation are taught. Yeah, I don't know exactly what my question is, Bhante. I'm kind of struggling trying to understand what that says about, that it's earnestly engaging in meditation, but not actually reaching jhana. And so it seems that having a heart of metta is it is part of the path. Like you will reach nibbana. So I'm kind of fumbling and stumbling, but I don't know if there's anything in that you can kind of comment on. Because I don't reach jhana. Let's be clear about that. And I get very frustrated by teachers that really it's not encouraging. It's making jhana the goal, and jhana is not the goal. It's the result. And the goal is that complete renunciation, letting go, release, right? What we call nibbana. But yeah, so I'm going to stop talking.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the original text.
There we go.
So basically, all the meditators, all the monks and nuns and the lay community should not be attained to the higher states at once in their practice, but still they have started their journey. And even though there are putujjana or the ordinary practitioners, we name them as kalyana putujjana. Kalyana means noble. So then even though they are putujjana or the ordinary, they have started the path. They have not attended to any higher states, higher attainments, but they are trying their best. And then they also practice, and their expectation, their willingness is to reach Nibbana. And on their journey, even when we talk about the stages, different levels of stages, Sotapanna and Sakadagami, so forth. In Sotapanna, there are two levels, Magga and Phala. Magga means the path. The Phala means the fruit or the result, the completion of the path. And still, they count, and it is valuable. So, on this practice, everyone is advised to develop metta, develop loving kindness, or whatever the interpretation, it's up to us. It doesn't matter how you interpret it, because it always comes as our own interpretation when we translate them. Because of that, our understanding. We never understand exactly what Buddha taught, because his understanding and our understanding is completely different. And therefore, actually, this is the language barrier, because metta is metta in the Pali text, in the Pali canon. Metta defines as developing kind-heartedness and all sort of other components into that, like compassion and sympathy and everything. So metta is a practice that without lust, without greediness, without expectations. And jhana is another achievement of the practice on the way. Jhana also count as a samatha practice, which is concentration. And even there are teachings that Buddha taught, if someone thinks, oh, I have attained to this jhana, this level, maybe the first one, the second stage, if that person, when that person is rejoicing with that experience, if the person thinks, oh, I have attained to this level and I'm done with my path, my journey, so that person is mistaken. Because there are more to do for the person to complete the journey. And attaining to a jhanic level, it is again a little bit of more experience in the spiritual journey than the secular experience. Those are the outcomes, landmarks on the journey in different scales, different levels. When we attend to jhanas, the path makes easier, smooth. And where we are well tuned on the path. So that's why jhana comes to be, and we cannot say, I don't practice jhana, because we cannot avoid it. We cannot avoid it because it comes on the path, whether we expect or not, depending on our energy or the effort of the practice. It's like, this is not exactly fitting to this to describe, but when we sleep, if I say I don't dream, which never happens, we will dream, but we have no control on it. If you want to control, you have to just open the eyes and wake up. Then dreaming will stop. But on the path, we will meet things no matter what. So the thing is, the practice, with the other thing that Gabriel mentioned about some type of, different type of teachers about these things. Actually, I was commenting on this many times, like, depending on the teacher or the practitioner's effort or the understanding, they pick things. And they try to focus on that area only. Then they take that teaching only when they teach. Sometimes that they do. So like this, Buddha has taught 3 wholesome deeds, which is dana, sila, bhavana, right? And meditators, mostly meditators think dana is, or generosity is useless. Only we have to focus only meditation. So meditation means, according to them, meditation just like sitting and closing eyes and observing something else. And then who observes precepts and more in the precepts, they think, oh, the virtue, being virtuous is more important than generosity and the meditation. And the people who are into generosity, dana, they think, oh, we still have time. We are not ready to meditate. And they just do only offerings. They just take the component, the portions of it. There's no such practice. I remember one of the famous instructor, when he was conducting a retreat, I was attending to that for 7 days. And he criticizes offering to the Buddha. He criticizes offering to the Dhamma and Sangha. Even he never bows down to the Buddha. Yes, no need to bow down to these idols, images, or the statues. There's no requirement. But still, if it is a part of the practice, what is wrong with doing it? And then, but he teaches the Nibbana. I was so surprised. That's how it comes. And therefore, different teachers, different practitioners, they just pick things according to their views. But that views could be wrong too. Then I remember when we conducted a retreat a while ago, one of the practitioners who came from another province, and that person said after the retreat, Bhante, it was very good because when we start in the morning, we did some chanting and the recitals, which is more benefited for our day. And end of the day, we again did the recitals, which is more benefited. So that's how people understand and get into the practice. So therefore, it is what it is. And recently, I saw some arguments, debate with few monks and lay people. One monk said, instead of applying the Dhamma, just reciting the teaching is worthless in the practice. Then another monk started to talk about, no, that is incorrect. Which is, I agree too. Because the recitals taught as a path of Nibbana with Samatha and Vipassana. Repeating or reciting the Buddha's discourses is one of the paths to be concentrated, to be developed, to have a calm and peaceful mind, to make the surrounding better for the Vipassana. So then we can't say this is okay, this is not. So then there are so many contexts and concepts. So therefore here, whoever the practitioner, even the other concept of this teaching, let's say, as monks, we are well fed by lay community. And whatever you can provide to us, then you bring it and you offer, and we accept. It could be tastier, it could be worse, it could be edible, who knows? It depends. When we consume, even within a practitioner might have some ugly thoughts, some unimportant mental states about these offerings or about this cooking or whatever the things, because the mind is mind. So why Buddha advised to a practitioner to have this reflection, this practice, in order to avoid that person's unwholesome mental states while having this, while consuming the world food or world alms food. And this is food, but it's not only about food, whatever the four requisites that lay people provide to monks. Because that's how we pay our gratitude. So even remember when we do meditation retreats and full moon day observation, at our meal, we try to reflect on, we try to share our gratitude, compassion towards the donors, because that counts to our practice, and that helps. And in that way, we will not feel guilty with accepting the world alms food. Sorry for taking long. Oh, it's 5:31.
Oh dear.
Does that make sense for this?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yes, it's very clear.
Yep.
And feel free to share your thoughts as well. So we can take few more minutes before we wrap. And even just to be clear, when we consume things, and we know things are so expensive now, and can't handle, taxes are so high, so many thoughts are going on, and instead of those, as a true practitioner, if we can apply somewhat compassion, loving kindness, friendliness, kind-heartedness with these applications, so that will help us to reduce our temper. Then we are in the practice as a practitioner, but the things are coming to us equally. We can't avoid, we cannot escape from it. Even as a secular practitioner, if we apply it to our own life.
Bhante, it strikes me as curious how eagerly people are to provide monks with those 4 requisites of food, clothing, shelter, medicine. And it's really well done within our own community. But the food you offer us in terms of spiritual food, not so many people want to have that food. So, or to accept that food. So, just anumodani for your efforts to instruct us. Thank you.
Thank you. So any other thoughts or comments? Because we can stop here, because we there's another long conversation with the other few sutras here. So we can have a couple of minutes to, if you have any thoughts before we wrap the program.
I just have a question, Bhante.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to time our medication, our meditation, or are we just doing that on our own?
Well, so I would spend a few minutes until already people are here. Actually, they are just starting, but I could sit with you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Was that a question?
Yes, that was the question.
Okay. Okay. So no other thoughts? Terry is so silent, and Vanessa is silent.
No, thank you, Bhante. I'm just reflecting on just the conversation. I think it's been a really interesting conversation to listen to, and it struck me sort of when you were talking about striving for that balance between, in a practice, not just focusing on one leg of the chair kind of thing, but having to have, all four legs so you can, practice in a balanced way. I think that's, it's, I think it's a very good thing to reflect on, because we get so focused in our society on one thing, and we can't let it go, and we just focus on one part of the practice. And I think it's really good to have all of it together.
Thank you. That's a good catch, because to be honest with that, sometimes basically the Buddhist community complain to monks. So monks are maybe supporting to destroy the sasana or the dispensation of the Buddha. And no, there are four groups in this journey: monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen. So we all are collectively support for the practice. And the spiritual community, or the monks and nuns, cannot exist without the lay community's support. And the lay community cannot continue their journey without the spiritual support from the monks and nuns. And these all four legs should be together to practice. But though we are practicing individually, we are getting the results individually, but it should be a collective effort, collective practice, end of the day. And for everything like that, if we take portions out of the whole package, then everything will be collapsed. So then we are mistaken sometimes. Well, I can be talking about it for a while. Sorry. Okay, so Vanessa, are you okay?
Yes, I am okay. There's a lot of vocabulary that I'm still trying to absorb and get used to, especially because English is not my first language. So some of the words I kind of have to go back and look at what their meaning is, so that I can make more sense out of the teachings.
Thank
So
you.
I'm just happy to be here. Yes, thank you.
And don't worry, I stand with you, because this is not my first language either.
I know.
But Vanessa, just so you know that we are perfectly happy to help you with that. So please ask if you don't understand, and we'll help.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
I'm still learning too.
We all are.
Bunty, you're the Pali expert.
Well, so though I have to translate into English, right, with you. I could read in Pali and understand, but as long as that makes sense for you.
Oh, that wouldn't help me.
No.
Okay, so that was a nice conversation, and let's wrap the program here before we start meditation, and then we can stop our online. Let's share these accumulated wholesome intentions, deeds, with all beings who are willing to partake, and may they partake and may they fulfill their wishes. Akasattha cha bhummattha deva naga mahidhikka punyantam anumoditva chiram rakkhantu sasanam chiram rakkhantu desanam chiram rakkhantu tvang sada idamme jnatinang hotu sukhita huntu jnatayo. Please receive the blessings. Abhivadana silissa niccang uddapachayino Chattaro dhamma vaddanti ayuvanno sukhang balan ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha Ato nibbana sampatti iminate samijjatu. May all the blessings be with you.
Sadhu.